Visiting places like informal settlements often tells a story linked to corruption in our country. From where you're standing, how's it impacted people on the ground in that province?
That's right, Joe. In fact, I couldn't have said it better. And don't be fooled by the beautiful cityscape that you see behind me. Not everything in the city that looks that good. We've been talking to many guests today, and like you mentioned, we were at the Cato Crest informal settlement a little bit earlier today. And there's a serious problem there, and there has been for years. You have a settlement where there are hundreds of people coming to the informal settlement to get closer to job opportunities, to get closer to the city, and many of them are on waiting lists for houses. But the issues that they have is that they say that although they are on these lists and they are eligible, they're not getting the houses that are being built because of dodgy dealings that are taking place, where these houses are being sold. So while we were there, we spoke to Abahlali BaseMjondolo, which is the shack dwellers movement, and they generally, forward the rights of shack dwellers, and generally you'll find that any protests that take place around these issues are coordinated by them. So just take a listen to what Thapelo Mohapi had to say.
We know very well that in this city, councillors sell the RDP houses to people who can afford on bonnets of the cars overnight. We know that Tulindlovu in Gwandengezi was killed in front of his kids, and two ward councillors as we speak are serving life imprisonment for conspiring in her murder. So corruption, when you speak about corruption and Abahlali BaseMjondolo, we've always tried to uncover corruption. Today we are living in this deep poverty where resources are not provided to us. It's all because of corruption. We are deprived. This country has enough resources, enough money to actually build houses for us, but we know that the number one enemy in this regard is the corruption that's taking place in this province.
So based on what we've just heard, Dasen, what is being done about corruption, particularly in eThekwini Municipality?
You know, Joe, the concerning thing about that bite and what Thapelo had to say is that, you know, a lot of what they're saying can't be written off as allegations. Abahlali's been making these claims for a long time, talking about how councillors are selling off houses. And in this case, this has actually proven that there is some truth to those allegations, because you have a case here that's gone to court. Two councillors have been convicted for murder, and the common thread here is that Ndlovu was vocal in her protests. She was at the forefront of these protests that were taking place. They had a similar incident, or incidents I should say rather, in Cato Crest, where 3 of their members died. One died during a protest, and 2 others were gunned down just within a few months of each other, and that was a few years ago. So definitely some worrying information coming out of there and out of these settlements, because it paints a picture of, if you expose corruption, or if you now protest because you believe that there is some kind of corruption taking place in your community, it now puts your life in danger. And that's also been working against many people, because now they're afraid of coming forward, even if they may have information, and that obviously impacts on how these cases are dealt with. To come back to your initial question, Joe, I tried to speak to the eThekwini Municipality today, because as you'll understand, throughout the day there were so many allegations that were leveled against the municipality, but unfortunately the city manager said to me that he wasn't available to chat. I did get an opportunity to chat to the official opposition here, the DA, and their leader, Zwakele Mngango. He was telling me that they're now also tired of no action being taken. We hear of so many reports that have come out, forensic audits that are taking place, and these have information talking about how officials have misspent money, talking about irregular expenditure. But there's all this hype at the beginning. There are these press conferences, there are press statements, but later on it fades away, because I think at this point we all are just almost desensitized to hearing these large figures of 10 million and 20 million and so on, that it just fades away and the next scandal comes along. So what the DA is saying now is that they're hoping to meet with the hawks. That should happen this week, and they now want to make sure that there are criminal cases that are opened against those people that are implicated in all of those reports that the eThekwini Municipality has compiled and released. But they also want to take it broader and look at other issues in the province in a similar vein.